Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
This is Grace-Allison, your host. Today I'm interviewing Rebecca NIetert and her books, Heart of Gold, Chasing Fairy Tales, and Provocative Confessions. Tell us, Rebecca, a little bit more about your books.
Okay, well, my first book, The Heart of Gold, is a fast-paced, page-turning, kind of shocking, raw tell-all of a young girl named Beverly, and her life changes from her sheltered upbringing to a disillusioned adulthood. It's set in Houston, Texas, back in the early 1980s, when Beverly experiences independence and exploration in sort of a dazzling world of the have and have-nots in the Houston oil-driven economy. And she learned very quick how to play in the world of the very, very rich. Although she was desperately clinging to the hope that her new boyfriend, Philip, would bring her ultimate happiness, she allowed him to kind of change her into a Barbie doll to fit into this world. And with that, she learned that his motives were far from flawless. So she chooses to use her own feminine wiles that he had taught her against him and fall into the arms of a handsome, debonair Houston cowboy called Joseph. And it's kind of 100-mile-an-hour love affair after that, and it takes you through some ups and downs, and it's a very, very romantic, relationship-driven story. And then the second book, Chasing Fairy Tales, is the same girl. It's a series, and she's chasing her fairy tale, and what she has to learn is that the odds were kind of stacked against her. But this time she meets a guy, she gets married, and she doesn't tell him what she was or the mistakes that she made. And unfortunately, her unrealistic expectations of what marriage was sort of caused a lot of friction in her marriage and didn't make her really, really happy. And the whole story, Chasing Fairy Tales, is designed not only around the romance of her and her new husband, but around setting appropriate expectations and learning how to unconditionally love in today's society. So,
and those two books, how far apart in writing these two books did it take you when you were in your writing process? The Heart of Gold, for example, did it take a year, 2 years, 6 months?
The Heart of Gold took 7 years for me to write.
Wow.
Because I went through, I didn't know anything when I started writing, and I had to get a whole lot more educated in the process. And I put my book in like the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Club in a workshop, and they tore me apart, and I cried and cried and cried, and I just kept, giving it to everybody to read, and they kept saying, it needs this, it needs that. You kind of have to have a thick skin when you're looking at somebody to edit or beta read your book. And so I finally went home one day, and I threw it in the trash. I threw the whole manuscript in the trash, and I completely started over, and that was the manuscript that got published.
And so that took you 7 years. 7 years.
Yep.
Wow.
7 years to write that first book.
What about and Chasing Fairy Tales? How long did that take you? And was your process different? And
it was different because I used a lot of my own experiences in Chasing Fairy Tales, and a lot of, having been married for 25 years, a lot of the first initial combative arguments that my husband and I used to have. So chasing fairy tales was really hard for me, but it was about a 2-year project, and it happened right after Heart of Gold. So it was just boom, boom. And then Provocative Confessions, the last book is the end, the last book in the series, and it's really kind of Sex and the City meets Desperate Housewives. You know, her husband moves her away from everything that she had built, her roots, and her confidence shakes, and she's got to make new friendships and how to navigate in a community that doesn't necessarily want you there. And what happens when a woman just kind of is a people pleaser and just tries really hard to make friends but doesn't really have good boundaries. So it's a relationship-driven story as I introduce 6 powerful characters, and it's a little bit of different tone than the first 2, and it really is all about those confessions that are provocative.
And so you take the characters from Heart of Gold, and you continue them through Chasing Fairy Tales and into Provocative Confessions. Did you use the same characters throughout for these stories?
No, I didn't. I made Provocative Confessions kind of stand on its own. For some personal reasons, I had to sort of lay down my writing career for a few years. I took on 3 new kids, and so I have to shop Provocative Confessions much differently than I do these other 2. So I made that book stand completely on its own. It's a little different. I'm much more mature in my writing now, and so it's coming along nicely.
And so your audience in these books, who do you think your audience is?
My audience is, a lot of people say that my audience should be just women because it's women's contemporary fiction, but that's not true. I did a blind panel of 40 people who read my book, and of that 40 people, some of them were men. And the common feeling that I got from men or the reviews, I've got 5-star reviews all across Goodreads. I don't think I have one less than 3. I could be wrong, but probably only 1. And what the men say to me is that they felt like it was such a great read, but they felt like they really wanted to protect the main character, that they felt the vulnerability of my main character, which I think says a lot. It shows the emotion of the book. And the women wanted to shake my main character almost like she was their baby sister or their best friend and say, wake up, this is what you need to do. So it's very relationship driven, and it's just it's kind of like you're sitting across the table having this heavy dialogue, and you're just batting it back and forth, and all these secrets are being revealed, and it's kind of like you have a first-hand knowledge of secrets that nobody else has, kind of like you're privy to some information that's not been made public.
So it's like there's secrets involved.
Oh, absolutely, all throughout. But the great thing about the secrets is that we all have them. We've all made mistakes. We've all been in unrequited love, and we've all, had that sense of longing for something bigger than ourselves. So as she reveals these secrets, it kind of pulls and tugs at the heart of the reader because it's something we've all been through. There's identifiable markers in my book that is very psychologically driven to express what happens to a woman as she grows into a more graceful and wise and mature woman who makes a lot better choices that she doesn't make when she's really young.
These choices seem to come out of your own past of maybe some violence and having come from a lot of disappointments hurtful relationships. So you really speak to your own past, and it's sort of like a cathartic writing, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I call it purging. You know, after you've had that terrible, terrible argument, you're on the verge of crying and you don't really know how you feel. If you sit down in your computer and you just purge it all, or you just got fired from that job and you sit down and you just kind of purge it all. And that raw emotion is what speaks to the reader, because we've all felt that at one time or another. It's not a pessimistic point of view. It's the main character is fighting against these kind of things, and the hope that she has, and the belief and the faith that she has that her dreams are going to come true, just keep her persistent and keep her going down this path despite what's being thrown at her. And yes, that is very much along the same lines of my own life. So if anybody can tell that story, I could.
I understand. It's a very honest way of reaching an audience. Just talk about your own personal life, and it just keeps you going. In my own writing, I've done that too, in the stories that I tell. So I think it's important for people who are perhaps never written before, encouraging them to sit down and just write something that is really hard for them to express.
That's exactly right. And you know, in addition to writing books, that's exactly what I've done, is open up a platform where I can coach, or, you know, they call me the biggest cheerleader in my groups, but I really try to do everything I can to inspire writers to tell their story. Some are about cats, and they're hilarious. Some are about politics. Some are veterans affairs. Some are romance stories. Some are, you know, fantasy novels or high sci-fi, or it doesn't matter what it is. Some people write screenplays.
Rebecca, we're going to break away right now and give our sponsors a few minutes to share with our audience. So we'll be back in just a short period of time, and we'll hear more from Rebecca in just a bit.
Headlines. Cryptocurrency vultures are circling around failing governments. Darknet predators are rushing to market with their newest digital product. They promise economic salvation, even as they coupon clips straight from your digital wallet. The newest techno-thriller installment from Brakefield and Berkey, The Enigma Source. Book 10 of the Enigma series continues the combat of cyber good guys versus cyber thugs set in today's digital landscape.
Do you love to read great new ebooks? Visit ebg247.com. Be the first to discover the next bestseller. At ebg247, we have the web's largest selection of great new book reads, from that amazing new fiction or nonfiction to horror, romance, and fantasy. We even have today's best children's books. That's ebg247.com. New books arrive daily, and all ebooks start at just 99 cents. If you love to read, then you'll love ebg247.com. Low prices, large selection, and an easy-to-use website. It's all only at ebg247.com.
A new online bookstore, NIetert.store, is unlike any other. NIetert.store offers great prices from top indie authors and supports authors at the same time by paying them more for their books. NIetert.store has a readers club that gives you free books and special deals. Watch the NIetert.store continue to grow before it opens in the fall of 2019 at NIetert.store.
Howdy, I'm John Cruder, the Midnight Marauder. I guess you might say that I'm a vigilante who rights the wrongs I see along my many travels to balance the scales of justice, especially those of the corrupt and murderous members of the Town Council of Bandera, Texas. You can follow my many adventures in a series of Midnight Marauder books written by Roy Clinton on Amazon.com and TopWesterns.com. Or, if you prefer, listen to my adventures in audiobook form by downloading them from Audible.com or iTunes. This is R. William James, the voice of the Midnight Marauder.
Texas Authors is proud to be a supporter of IndieBeacon.com, a website that supports indie authors from around the world. If you are looking for help with marketing or getting published, IndieBeacon.com can assist you. Years of experience by the founder is available to any indie author looking for help. IndieBeacon.com, a place for creative souls to find help in marketing their creations. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Welcome back. This is Grace-Allison, and I am interviewing Rebecca NIetert. And Rebecca, would you please spell your name and tell our audience where they can find you on the web, Facebook, bookstores, and so forth. So go ahead and spell your name because it's a little unusual, and let us know where we can find you.
Absolutely. It's Rebecca NIetert. It's REBECCAN as in Nancy, IE, T as in Tom, ERT. So NIetert. And they can reach me at www.RebeccaNietert.com or RebeccaNietert@yahoo.com.
And where can we find your books?
On my Rebecca NIetert site, you can purchase my books right off my site, and any book that's purchased on my site versus, Barnes & Noble or Amazon gets their copy signed. I send it directly myself. I sign it, personalize it, send it off.
Oh, that's wonderful. We're going to talk about two inspirational platforms that are really near to your heart. The first one is Empowering the Voice, and the second platform is focused on inspiring authors to tell their story. So why don't we start first with Empowering the Voice and how you came to experience this new platform?
Well, I started the platform, and the way that it came about is I started to, I have a group here in the DFW area called Lone Star Writers Club, and it's about 800 writers strong. And as I started helping them and started doing the classrooms and started to get more involved, really my goal initially was to try to help them not go through the pitfalls that I went through in publishing their book. And what that did for me is it opened up another avenue where I speak at corporate events and women's social gatherings about empowering your voice, because in my stories there's an undercurrent of being passive-aggressive and not using your voice to stand up and believing that you have that value inside you and that your voice can help yourself, that you can be happy by taking control over your own life. And so as I started to psychologically think about what's made me successful and how I keep kind of coming out of the tragedies of my life, it was when I chose to take control back of my life. So when I speak in these corporate events and things like that, most often what I hear phrases like, if only my relationship worked the way that I think it should, I'd be happy. Or if only I had that dream job, or if only my book would sell, or if only I had more money to buy what I want, or if my man or my woman would love me the way that I need them to. You see, if I had those things, I could be happy. And to me, that just gives me opportunity to say, hold on, let's slow your roll a little bit, because your perspective's off. You're allowing somebody else to have control over your life. And you're allowing somebody else to make you happy instead of seeing the joy and happiness in yourself. And so what I do is through just simple tools and what should be common sense, but it's not applicable and presented in such a way that makes it, kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I knew that. I just don't really practice that. So that's all I do is I kind of bring that awareness. I'm all about transparency and unity among women and inclusion, non-judgment, and I try to bring that to the stage when I talk to these people. So it's all about empowering your voice for your own joy, your own authentic self.
And how did that grow for you? Obviously, you had to have had an experience where you finally said, enough. I have to create some boundaries here.
Oh, absolutely. I think that for some of us who are a little thick-headed, it takes a lot longer. But, at a certain point, you just sit back and you go, okay, I'm really just angry a lot, and I'm really just unhappy. And you know what? I don't want to spend the rest of my life contentious. I want to live a joy-filled life. And yes, there's certain things in my life that happened, but one of the things that was the biggest thing for me is I didn't grow up with a man in my life. I didn't have a father. But when I looked at my 5-year-old daughter's, the way that she looked at my husband one day when we were arguing, and she was just wanting security and she was wanting to know everything was okay. And the way that she looked at him, I sort of got what I was missing. And that was the first time that it ever happened to me. And I just can remember looking at him and saying, something's got to give. We can't continue down this path. We have to do better. We have to. Look at those eyes. You can't look at a 5-year-old looking at 2 immature parents and think that's okay. So we made a vow to each other to really research where our baggage was and what we needed to do. And through the help of a local seminar called The Road Adventures, my husband Scott says I went in one woman and came out another woman. And
wow,
I completely changed my personality, everything.
Well, we have a question from Twitter for you, Rebecca.
Okay.
From Adam Jones. Yeah. What's been the most rewarding part of your journey as a writer?
Oh, as a writer, the most rewarding thing for me was pulling up Goodreads and seeing over 50 5-star ratings. I was like, people are talking about my book. I mean, I only wanted to reach one person. So, reaching all these people, and people liked it. I told a story that people wanted to share with other people and said it was good and couldn't wait for the second book. And I thought, wow, I must write a good story. I mean, it was just kind of like, I didn't know I could do that. So it was the feeling just never goes away. When somebody says that you are a great writer, or you tell a great story, or I love your character, or oh my gosh, what is she going to do now? I just think to myself, you've got a relationship with her. That's exactly what I wanted. So that's
and now you're helping writers. Your second platform
and now
is
I'm
focusing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how are you doing that?
Coaching them in all aspects. I have classes locally. We only charge, $50 a class, sometimes $60, depending on, what we're doing. And for
where can people find out about the classes?
At easton-books.com. I had a small independent publishing company in Colorado that I merged with, and I've kind of taken it over, and I'm trying to use that as a platform for webinars and classes. You can find my $10.99 Udemy class on there that teaches first-time authors how to write, publish, and market a book. It's thousands of dollars worth of information for $10. It's really inexpensive. So just go to easton-books.com.
That's at Easton, E-A-S-T-O-N, eastonbooks.com.
Dash books. It has a dash in the,
Okay,
so Easton-Books is a small independent publishing company. And so I've connected with a local writer who makes her living doing editing work. And together we're going to try to put on a lot more classes this coming year. And we do, through meetup.com, we have Lone Star Writers Club where we meet once a week. And I give advice, I read papers, we do workshops, reviews, everything. So you can get on meetup.com and join one of our local events, which we do every week.
If there's any parting advice that you would like to give our listeners or authors, what would it be?
Just if you're an author and you're busy working on your stuff, congratulations. I'm right there with you. I know how hard it is. If you're a new writer, there are no free, easy roads to publication. All the write a novel in 30 days, Kindle's promises of just put it up and you'll sell millions. Just think about it this way. If it sounds too good to be true, it always is. So do it the right way and connect with other people in the industry that know what they're doing that can help you. And for the readers, if you want to read a great book, mine is out there.
And you have a new book coming out called She Dances.
I do, but it's my first nonfiction book. It's actually a memoir. I talk about how I've been, how I overcome poverty and homelessness and been shot and stabbed, and how I've been through it.
Wow, that's really incredible. Well, we're about wrapping this up now, and so we want to thank you, Rebecca, for being with us.
Well, thanks for
having me. And we wish
me.
you all. Oh yeah, it's been really exciting, and we want to wish you all the best, and hope that you have a lot of writers that are going to listen to you and learn from you, and also readers that will read your books.
Well, thank you. I wish the same for you too.
Have you ever thought what you would do if you had to put your life on hold to parent your parents? Charlotte Cannon has lived the journey caring for 3 parents with dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Her book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents, is a survival guide for adult children caring for aging seniors. Her book is available at books.txauthors.com, Amazon, or your favorite bookstore.
Hello, Texas authors. My name is Randy James, coming to you from my Carrollton recording studio, where I spend time writing and producing commercials for my radio endorsement clients, as well as my private freelance clients. I'd like the opportunity to help you sell more books with a commercial like this and get listeners of Dear Texas Radio excited about your title, all at a special introductory price. Available to members of the Texas Association of Authors. Call or text 214-762-1942. That's 214-762-1942. Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website at indiebeacon.com.